I'm going to invite Team 1 up, and we shall all welcome them and say,
That is quite large. Welcome to one. Do you want the microphone?
Oh, sure. I don't think you get the screen. We need to darken the screen.
Testing. Testing.
Yes.
Is my timer going, Jesse?
Got it.
Good morning, everybody. We are Team Active Pterodactyls. And today, our active pterodactyls are going to demonstrate peer teaching. In addition to that, we will be assessing your knowledge of paying attention and active listening by the end of our time here today. So you may want to take notes, you may just want to, maybe you do a great job of absorbing, but you will be assessed at the end of our time here today. So thank you. I'm going to start off by letting Sherry talk, and she will peer teach what she learned during our sessions.
Hello, my name is Sherry, and I'm going to be talking about the proposals of Azura, one of our pterodactyls. And Azura teaches in the philosophy department, and she's going to implement this in an ethics lecture course. She uses Blackboard intensively already, and some peer editing of a major paper, but she wanted to improve that process of peer editing. So she was looking at using some of the dynamics of group improvement that Russ and Shree had presented on in her groups. Okay, so she's going to model peer editing by looking at Martin Luther King's letters from Birmingham jail. And she will assign that for each student to do individually at home in peer review or peer edit and see how it could be better. And then bring that to class, and that'll be the basis of the discussion to model them on how to do peer editing. Now, the paper she's talking about is ultimately a 5-page paper, but it takes up 2/3 of the semester time-wise, and it's submitted in sections. So she's going to ask groups to self-select. So these are called affinity groups. They will vary in size, and each student will bring then a certain section of the paper and have it peer edited by 2 other students in the group. And they will be given directly then back to the student, not to Azura, which is probably a really good thing at this point. And at the end, she will see the ultimate paper, but each section will have been peer edited and peer reviewed. If a student is unsure how to peer edit, they have the option of going to the Learning Lab to get some help on that. Now, at the end of the semester, as sort of a way to judge whether or not any of these new techniques work, she will be asking for 2 feedbacks. In one, the students in each group will assign points to all the other group members as to their efficacy and what kind of peer editing they did, which is good inspiration for doing a good job. And then she will ask each student to submit an anonymous Blackboard survey, basically on how the dynamics of the group worked and how she could improve them. And I think I'm probably out of time.
Yeah, perfect.
I feel like I'm on a leash. Okay, so this is Kathy, and she teaches in the business communications department. She has an online class that is a social media course for students to basically establish a social media campaign for a fake business. Currently, her major problem in the course is retention, right? Her drop failure and withdrawal rate is very high. So she is interested in implementing group dynamics to see if that will help with her retention. So what she's going to do is to have them be put in groups, and she's going to be using icebreaker techniques online to have them get to know each other, and using the groups that no longer bomb, right? The groups that are the bomb techniques. They're going to be creating a fake business together in order to come up with a social media campaign using various platforms. In order to talk with each other, they're going to be using voice threads and basically implementing a bunch of other techniques. Am I getting any? Perfect. Okay. to be able to put this together, and then she's going to be running some statistics to figure out whether the DFW rate decreased. Hi, everybody. Whew, y'all are tired. Stand up. Stand up. Stretch. Sit down. I only have 2 minutes. Okay. This is Karen. Karen teaches Brit Lit, and she has a problem with her students not retaining literature terminology and not necessarily remembering all the historical events and dates that affect the context of when the literature was created. And of course, that's a very important part of understanding why literature is, you know, if you put it into the context, it's much more meaningful than just a poem floating about in space. So to increase her students' ability to retain these terms and historical events and times, she is going to use a few different methods. But one of the main ones she's going to use is each one, teach one. And then toward the end of the semester, she will be giving out crossword puzzles and quizzes to see if it helped them, if it helped their retention. So yesterday, she taught me something, and I'm going to teach one of you. So I need a volunteer? Great. Because I was going to call on you. So yesterday, she taught me about the term, I always say it wrong, primogeniture. Do you know what that means? I don't. Great. So primogeniture is the practice of the wealth. It's only the noble class. When the wealth of the noble class, when the father dies, he passes all of his wealth to the eldest son. Okay, so you probably all know this happens. But the problem with that is what happens to sons number 2, 3, or 5? They don't have an income. They don't have land. They don't have anything. So how are they to be desirable for like future wives and things like that? And they don't have an occupation. So what happens with young men who don't have an occupation, don't have an income, don't have a direction to go in life? It can become a little problematic. So the Pope recognized this problem, and so to give them industry, basically, he kicked off the Crusades. So they went off to work for the Crusades, and some of them died, which partially solved the problem. Some of them came back as heroes, which partially solved the problem. So now they came back, and they were being recognized for being heroic, and they're now desirable, and they can have wives, and start the process all over again. All right. Go teach someone else. I say primogeniture, it's actually primogeniture, yeah.
Which refers to kicking off the Crusades, or?
No, it refers to giving the wealth, the passing of wealth to the eldest son.
Got it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Karen. Pterodactyl, Karen.
She said pterodactyl.
Yes, we seem to have started a thing here. All right, so this is Jeff. And he's actually already been working on a gradual redesign of his Comp 1301 course using Blackboard and the Open Education Resources grant. And so he's looking at expanding upon that a bit. He's working on partially flipping the course. And to support that objective, he's going to bring in some of the active teaching stuff, including preview quizzes, to get them more involved, as well as peer teaching activities, so that they can take the stuff that they studied outside of class and put it into application once they get there. He's also going to start working in regular quarterly assessment using Blackboard, using activity-specific assessment, etc., to ensure that it's working. But one of the big things he's got to do, because there is still a fair amount of lecture, because we're teachers and we like the sound of our own voices, is he's going to start inserting pause procedure and pair checks into this, which will ensure that even his more traditional teaching methods hopefully become a little bit better in terms of comprehension and retention.
I don't need a mic. This is Sherry in the green. Sherry is a professor of anthropology. She teaches both online and traditional lecture courses. Sherry's very interested in moving away from the old chalk and talk kind of method of lecture and incorporating more interactive, active, and intentional learning techniques, wherein she will sort of deploy these but also explain to her students why she's doing them and what the purpose of those techniques are. She's going to start with using the playing card method to divide up her students into groups of 3. Those triad groups will then engage in the pause procedure during sort of the more traditional lecture days. They will get together in their groups of 3, review notes, ask questions and whatnot. Sherry's idea is that these triad groups will ultimately sort of morph into larger groups sort of organically as they work with each other more. She plans on changing this up monthly and perhaps organizing the larger study groups and perhaps even webinar groups online. We mentioned the pause procedure she wants to use, and she also wants to explore various technologies to try to get student feedback assessment sort of spontaneously and instantly on the screen. And one of the techniques and technologies and that's our cue for quiz time. Everyone has a Flickr.com card. You have several of them on your table. Not everyone has one. Go ahead and grab one of those.
I'm going to put up a few questions related to what they just presented. And on each pattern, there are letters A, B, C, and D. If you think choice A is the correct answer, hold the card up with A facing up.
Okay.
And facing So, whenever you're ready, you can hold it up and I'm going to scan the card. So the first question is about Azura's pilot.
Pterodactyls, or
What you? Yes.
You don't have to get close.
Yeah.
Just have to decide. I never know something in here.
So I think that there is a little dark, so it's not capturing it. So you can see how it populates. It can give instantaneous feedback.
It's behind her.
So you got
Reduce the screen size.
so 53% of the class chose choice B, and the correct answer you can show the class.
Well done, everybody out. You're a
So
pterodactyl.
you can go to the next question. So it's about Jeff's pilot. Can you see that? Yeah. So whenever you're ready.
D.
Oh, got it. Yeah, I'm not. It's a little dark there. You just photocopy. Yeah.
You want to put the light on? Figure out.
Sorry. Yeah, there you go. So
You can also figure out which person
you can take his hat back and you can read the answer. So in the interest of time, I don't think I can go over all the questions. Do we have more time? Yeah, okay, wait. 2 minutes. So we did Karen's question now.
I'm the one who hasn't had coffee this
So whenever you're ready. So you can use this for attendance. You can post a silly question and record the attendance for the class. It's archived in the form of a spreadsheet, so you can always retrieve it anytime.
How does it avoid
Because it already knows that card 1 has been scanned once, so and there are numbers, so you can assign each card to a student, so you can track the student's progress throughout the freelancer. Yeah, we need some help for this. It was a tricky one. Sure. Okay. So all you need, this is free. All you need is a Plickers app that you download. It's free. And you need these cards. You just photocopy them on cardstock. Only thing, do not laminate them because of the glare. It won't scan. And even if the student walks away with one of the cards, you can have a backup and put it back in there. You can even do group activities with this because you can assign a group just like we're doing it. One card per group, and collect a lot of feedback. So the students love it. You guys should try it in class. I think you'll enjoy it as well.
A round of applause for our pterodactyl. Last question.
You really want to know that?
We're all beautiful. All of the above.
One of the limitations is
No.
All right. Great job, Team 1. So now I'm going to welcome Team 2 to the stage. And we'll hear of Life is Free.
How do we get up to
And just a side note, the mic has a long cord, so you don't have to stay right in front. You can drag and wander around with it.
And then when you come back missing,
print those out from
I looked on Plickers. I said that you had laminated. So if you want to take them back, it's like $20.
That's what I did. I shopped.
So I mean, if you get tired of running around, wow, our class is going to
Tell us when. And scene. So welcome to Lester.
I'm so happy with how I've reworked things.
Wow.
So many great tools to implement.
We can't even close our toolbox anymore.
Catherine, how are your classes going?
Well, there have been a lot of positive things happening, but it's not exactly what I dream of.
You know, I want to dream too. I've got a dream. I've got a dream.
I think this group of people look like experts who can help us design some new strategies.
I think so.
Sure. Hey, David, I've got some note-taking and lecturing that needs to happen in my class, but it's really hard for the students to listen and write at the same time. I want them to be able to compare notes and correct each other, but I don't have time for that. What can I do?
Oh, okay, let's see. Let's look in the toolbox and see. What are we talking about here? Notes, right? Note taking?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, my students they're complaining about their writing notes so long that they just don't seem to retain any information.
So maybe you can get two students together, and two students can get together with their notes after class, and they can share their notes, and that lets them fix their notes, and then they can write them up and put them on Blackboard, and that way they don't have to use a lot of extra class time to get your note sharing done.
I think that might work for me.
Very happy.
Thanks.
Carla, I talk and I talk and I talk and I talk and I talk more. I mean, I'm talking as much as I can. And they just don't seem to be getting it. Do I talk more? What do I do?
Well, first of all, I'm an expert on this. If you're talking that much,
Right.
you really need, the teacher tonic throat spray. But really, what you need to do is
take a moment and pause in your lecture. Research dating back as far as the 70s shows that students can't focus for more than 15 or 20 minutes or so. So break your lecture into those chunks, take a couple of minutes between those chunks, and let students talk to each other. You can also use that time for more engaged activities like note comparison, like summarizing key points, and then at the end of the session, have them summarize again. You can either let them keep the summaries, or you can take them up and assess what you should review the next period and what you should change in future semesters.
So I don't talk more, I talk less?
You talk less, you give the students time, and those pauses also give you more time to use that first
These guys really know what they're
Man, they're all over it.
I mean, I've got some students who read before they come to class and their discussions are so bright. And then I have some who are slackers and they just don't have it together. How do I get them all on the same page?
Poor Catherine. Poor Ross looking behind. You missed the whole week. Should have been there when Julia and Mary they were telling us what to do. Let me look into this. You flipped the classroom. So you give an exam before the class. There's a little quiz, and they have to make sure they study. But if they don't study, that's okay. They'll get 0. Then when they get into the classroom, you put them in groups. Then these people in the group who have read before, they will teach the other students, and then they will pick up this. So you have to waste their time going around teaching everybody. They will teach themselves. So the next time you give a quiz before the class, those that look like dummies when they were in groups, they will continue to study very hard so that your problem will be resolved. Just flip the classroom.
Jill, my students, no matter what I do, they want to sit in the same groups all together with their friends. You know, I'm trying to break them up, but they just keep sitting with their friends and they get these little cliques all over the place. And I want to break that out. What do I do? How do I get them out of their little molds and their cliques?
Well, Russ, you gotta get them forming, storming, norming, and performing. First, you want to break them up into new groups, forming new connections with new people. You want to facilitate them through the conflict of that storming phase and to create a new norm that will get them performing at the level you want. That ought to nail them.
Chris, I've got some students who I really want to get them to participate, and they're so shy and they won't say anything. And then the other ones, it's like the same 5 people are talking all the time. How can I get them all involved?
I know.
Use the jigsaw technique. The jigsaw classroom is a cooperative learning technique in which all your students participate. And it's going to promote better learning, improves student motivation. It also increases enjoyment of the learning experience. And it's really simple to use. First, you just want to divide your students into maybe 4 to 6 jigsaw groups. And ideally, you want your groups to be diverse in terms of race and gender and ethnicity, ability. And next, you appoint one student to be the group leader. And you will have already divided your lesson into 4 to 6 different segments. And then you assign each student to learn about one segment. And then you give student time to read over their segment and become familiar with it. Next, you're going to form temporary expert groups by having one student from each jigsaw group get with the other students that were assigned that same segment. So they really become experts in that particular part. And then you bring the students back into their jigsaw group
and ask each student to present his or her segment to the group. Now you want to encourage them to ask each other questions or clarification. And you're going to float around from group to group and help them if they're having any troubles. That's your role, kind of helping them out in this process. And at the end of the session, you may want to give a quiz on the material. And with this technique, it's great because each student is essential to this process. And that's what makes this technique so effective.
Christine, I don't know about you, but I can almost see my dream becoming like a destiny.
What a beautiful
There's only one thing. Rosa, I think you can help me. Some of my students are really enthusiastic. They want to be there. I mean, there's this energy. Others are just kind of like, whatever. How do I get a contagious energy going in the classroom?
Well, let me think that I think you would be, you need to be working in developing living and learning laboratory to work together with the students, creating knowledge and sharing the knowledge, that kind of knowledge that can resolve the problems of this world. So, and meanwhile, you are creating the skills that will help them to face this complexity of today's world. Would you like something like that?
I would. That would be my destiny. That would be my dream.
I think that they have some new tool. I can tell you, this has been developing for years, but I think it's the time that you use high-tech technology, application and tools.
On my phone?
I have something. I will show you. Be patient. It's just come out, and I will share with you. Are you prepared?
I'm getting there.
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, this is the new high-tech tool, voice thread. Solve your problem with your students. You will have that kind of environment we all want to have. All sharing. Every is a place where you want to be in the next decade.
Where did you guys learn all of this?
Well, from here.
Let me tell you.
Active and engaged learning seminar.
At the beginning of this week, we all came here with things that we wanted to improve in our classroom. And thanks to the ACC, the Project ACC Summer Institute, we can raise our classes to a higher level.
Team 3 up to the stage, please welcome them. I hope we can feed on that energy. Team 2, thank you for creating all of that. Iris, Susan, Amy, David, and... Well, okay, we have another team member somewhere. Okay, Sarah. There she is, okay. So before we get started, we wanted to tell you, do a little meta moment and be intentional, and to tell you about our goals when we got together and tried to think about what we could share. So we wanted to do something that was fun because we were feeling a little saturated, and we wanted to do something interactive rather than just demonstrate for you. We wanted to get you involved in the way that we hope to get our students involved. We also wanted to develop something that was goal-oriented to give us a sense of purpose for this activity. And we also wanted to engage you in practicing strategies, maybe from the student perspective. So it's always nice after you've built out something to see it from the student view and to kind of think through, how have my students experienced this? To tell you about how we developed as a group, we left yesterday without really a clear idea of what we're going to do today. That felt kind of frightening for me. I don't know about the rest of you. But we got together in email and emailed back and forth, and this morning came with a plan, and then we're able to just tweak it and refine it a little bit. So I'm going to turn it over to Amy and David to talk about the goals for this activity and to give you some guidance.
Okay, so
yeah, I am. It's okay. So the goal is to find activities for out-of-town guests visiting Austin. And these are the various topics. I don't need to go over them, you can read them. But what we're going to do here is use various techniques that we picked up through the week to solve these problems in individual groups. And the process is...
Okay, so this is a partial jigsaw. So due to our limited time restrictions, you're in your expert group, and that's where you're going to stay. So we're going to take advantage of the fact that you have already formed, stormed, normed, etc. So hopefully you already have some good group processes going. So my lovely assistants are going to hand out your instruction cards. Each group is going to get a topic. So your guests are coming next week. You really need to start getting your plan together. So each group is going to be responsible for one piece of the puzzle. Are you deciding the best arts activity for them? Are you deciding the best short day trip? So you'll get your group topic, and then you're going to use the technique that we're giving you in order to brainstorm a solution. So we're assuming, this is a big assumption, that each group probably had people attending each of the sessions. So somebody in your group has probably been exposed to the topics that we're asking you to use, or the techniques that we're asking you to use. So if you don't know what a particular technique is, we're asking you to rely on your group's knowledge. And if we need to come and step in and give you more guidance, we will, because we'll be circulating throughout the process. So I'm going to have my assistants, they're going to hand out your
If you
group
could put your tabletops up so we can see which room you're in. Team 7, you're going to be number 3 in your worksheet. So here it is. Thank you.
And you'll flip over your topic that I gave you.
Flip over the topic. So you have about 7 minutes to generate one idea for your topic, and then we'll come back together and explore it.
What are we doing in the city? Share the chair.
What to do, what they are.
And I'm
Read my map. What to do in the art.
I don't know the mind maps.
Well, it's just one central idea, art, and you need to connect with one word, with one branching out ideas that are connecting.
All right, let's start with Austin.
The central idea.
Let's start with Austin.
Art. Well, you can, it doesn't matter.
Sharon, you can share with somebody.
I don't know, it's all my branching ideas like you say.
Never gonna fly. Never gonna fly.
The one right
I do too. The reason I say this, I'll tell you. Okay, we have 4 ideas. Let's go. Okay.
So one side debates two pros, the other side debates the
Like the bad side to debate. Are we supposed to debate?
Yeah, we're supposed to debate. If the cons win, then we have to go to the next topic.
I am instrumenting opera in Spanish. So drama, what is visual art? You have film. Museum. Well, it's just painting. Right? Painting. You also can put maybe under the branch out all the things you can connect to something.
So we go around and add our
Right, because it's what is connected to your mind, what counts. Okay, you are.
Everybody grab a pen and get a line and go around.
Like I just looked it up. In the Heights opens exactly. Perfect. So in the Heights. Yeah, in the Heights. So
Okay.
it's the name of the show.
And where is it?
Wonder Woman. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wonder Woman at the Alamo. Wonder Woman at the
Should we share and write them down? All right, how many have similar things on your list? We all got marked 3 minute tags. We got that. We got capital. We had
You're approaching 2 minutes of your group, so begin to form consensus about your ideas so that we can hear back from your group.
We can have
we have to decide which idea. What are we going to have them do? But we have to come up with just one idea. No, yeah.
One idea?
What one idea do you want to suggest for the
We need to put that we need to put in work.
Well, it says what you do with the art, and we're going to have to come up with one to go to the Alamo.
I've only got one prompt for this, and it's very difficult to actually see what come out. I have been downtown specific to come to and that they have never, ever come out if it's overcast or whatever. On the other hand, I see that come out everyone
Exactly. That is what is happening right now.
Okay, so from music, who's on the break?
Yes. Today,
give everyone 30 seconds.
The ones that don't know these, they are in other worlds. Where are you?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, eyes on, I don't know. Somebody else can have fun, please. Thank you.
We saw great work out there. Remember, every group narrowed it down to one. So let's start with group number 1. What were you working on and what was your favorite activity?
Our topic, where to eat. Our criteria must be kid-friendly, veggie options, and have booze.
So first we listed about, 30 restaurants, and then we crossed off the ones that didn't meet the criteria, and we ultimately decided on Golden Creek Cafe.
Golden Creek Cafe.
Yes.
Best option in town.
That has all 3.
Golden Creek Cafe.
Nobody seems to be excited about that.
Yes, Golden Creek. Group number 2.
Sure, okay, we had to do mind map and we doing arts, and so we started by breaking everything down into the different categories of art, from music, theater, visual arts.
Show the camera.
And we ended up deciding that since Austin is the music capital of the world, that we should pick something musical, and so we decided on Blues on the Green at Zilker.
Blues on the Green at Zilker. So if you have visitors coming in, best thing to do. Group number 3.
Group number 3, we had our topic, what to do in nature and outdoors, and our technique was elevator pitch.
Okay.
Okay, so, doing outdoors, you just thought the Zilker area, that South Austin close-in area. The South Austin close-in area, Zilker Park, there's the Botanical Gardens, the Hillside Theater, something's going on there, Barton Springs, and somewhere near Barton Springs is that little kiddie ride on the train.
Zilker Zephyr.
Zilker Zephyr. Lady Bird Lake, you can go see the bats, they'll come out at night. You can go camping on the lake, go hiking. The Stevie Ray Vaughan statue is there, the Pfluger pedestrian bridge. That's it.
So the whole Zilker area.
Zilker area. Group number 4. It's over here, right? Oh yeah. Am I in the right direction? I think tell us your topic and what you.
I think our question was to find the worst thing to do. So I guess the things not to take your guests to. And we used the pro-con method, although we didn't really divide ourselves into sides so much as throw out pros and cons, all of us. So we kind of deviated from the technique.
1 minute.
And we chose East 6th Street as the worst thing to do.
Number 5.
We didn't think pair share, so we each came up with stuff and we put them all on a sheet, and we decided unique Austin activity, you gotta go see the bats.
And last but not least, Team 6. What did you decide on and what was your technique?
Okay, so we had to go with visitors to a day trip, and our criteria were that we had someone who had some disability issues. We wanted to go close by, and we need to consider the weather. So we decided the Bob Bullock Museum.
And what technique?
Oh, we used, criteria match.
So we'll post this on Blackboard so that now you're prepared when you have out-of-town visitors. You can just refer to the
Pardon. Oui, oui. Mesdames et messieurs, welcome to the Nobel Prize ceremony for the year 2018. The winner of the Nobel Prize in Teaching goes to the Austin Community College team from the United States of America. They will share the $1 million prize. I invite the panel of outstanding educators from ACC to share the success of the teaching experiments they completed last year in the field of active learning.
We're organized. Okay. Hello, I am Nobel Prize winner Dr. Jody Jefferson. I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you. So, will you advance the slide, please? So this is what I felt like before I started using active teaching techniques. And now that I'm using them, I feel 39 again. So what I did in my classroom during spring 2018 is I started using the pause procedure. That is my cat pause. And I also let my students pick their own partner, and I did like to live dangerously like Austin Powers. So I did the pause procedure, which is, we covered it a little bit today, but what I did was I had students pair up, they chose their partner, I lectured for 15 minutes while students took notes, I gave them 2 minutes to reflect, compare notes, ask each other questions. I repeated this several times, It was difficult not to answer their questions during the pause procedure. I think that was my biggest challenge, but questions remained at the end, and a lot of times they answered their own questions throughout, so that was helpful. And it increased retention in my classes. More students showed up each week. They were on time more often, which I loved. They expressed having a deeper understanding of the concepts and had better application of the concepts. And grades didn't increase on exams, which was surprising, but they had more robust essay question answers. And after the class concluded, they saw me as their allies, so they kept talking to me after that, and they started taking classes together, so they bonded. Wow.
So the change I made in my course was very easy to incorporate because it was actually a very small change. What I began doing was using guided notes. Prior to the beginning of my pilot study in the spring of 2008, I already had very comprehensive notes for all of my lectures posted on Blackboard. I did this because previously I had noted that a lot of my students lacked the note-taking skills they needed to keep up with my fast-paced lecture. Once I posted these extensive notes to Blackboard, I noticed that student grades in my class went up dramatically, but people stopped showing up. Those that were there were not very engaged. So I decided to switch to guided notes. What I did was to remove key pieces of information and put blanks where students would have to fill them in themselves. That way, if they didn't come to class, they didn't get that information. But they had scaffolding to tell them where they needed to put stuff. Further, I added blanks in places that before I had told students at the beginning of the lecture, you need to fill in examples from our discussion, but many forgot to do it. So this gave them the prompt that they had to add an example, decide whether that went for or against the idea of the core value we were talking about, because they were allowed to choose, and then later, if not then, explain how it either supported or went against. So they had all the information they needed to answer their study question, which was then going to be a test question, although they didn't know that at the time, when things came around. By putting these into place, I got a big payoff in terms of my two goals, which were increased attendance and increased student engagement. Attendance went up 75%. Wow. Engagement went up 50%. However, grades did drop slightly as students had to practice their new note-taking skill, and it took a while to perfect. However, students told me that they enjoyed the class, felt more connected to the class, and also learned to take better notes through this process.
She left you hanging, she doesn't get a medal.
So Christina, what I heard you say was that you implemented the guided notes and that you had a number of goals, mostly student attendance, student satisfaction, that they take better notes, that they make better grades, of course, and that was accomplished although student attendance initially dropped and grades weren't necessarily the best at first until they got the hang of it. I also noted that you said you had already the notes on Blackboard, and so those notes were easily converted to just removing keywords or phrases so that you could turn those into guided notes. And that students struggled with note taking initially, but then after they got the hang of it, they were able to keep up with notes and learn how to take better notes and use a system of prompts as well so that they could understand the need to fill in the key blanks. Is that about what you said?
About what I said.
Great, thanks. So I used, my name is Lynn Wiesman and I'm an interpreter educator, and one of the tools that we use to educate interpreters is called the discourse mapping process. So I modified the speak write activity, and as Christina was speaking, I was drawing notes out so that I could reproduce her talk. And so students who do a cumulative paper in every one of my classes are now expected to also discourse map. So it serves two functions, that they're able to apply the discourse mapping process and they can reproduce that from what is not a static text, which is what we usually do during the practice sessions. So they're able to then reproduce it from extemporaneous speeches or talks, and that way they're applying it across the curriculum. Great. I go over my hair.
My name is Cecilia, and as you heard, with us implementing the active learning and pause procedures, it has shown an increase in our class attendance, and it has also showed an increase in some of the students' grades. It has shown a huge change in class climate, and there is more interaction between the students. They are more engaged with each other. They have even formed study groups outside of class. Also implemented was the student-generated test questions, which we do monitor the content of the question for saying that what we teach in class and make sure material is being covered. It shows that the kids, the students, really like seeing their work on a graded paper. The other thing we have implemented also is a weekly assessment where we find out if we are covering all the material that the students have read in the chapter. And that has helped us great with improving our attendance, plus the grades, the students show better grades. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Bolton, and I teach in the art department. In the spring of 2018, I implemented active and engaged learning strategies in my Design 1 class. I chose the Each One, Teach One method. This was by far my best semester yet. From the first day, I started off right, and I got them in pairs. The strategy that I used for going over the core concepts of the class after going over the syllabus, I decided to lecture on the elements and principles of art and design, such as line, shape, balance, focal point. Then I assigned each pair one specific dimension. They broke off into their pairs, and they spent about half the class reviewing catalogs and magazines from museums and different art publications. They were looking for good and bad examples of their assigned content. And after this, they stood in front of the class and they taught the fundamentals that they had discovered. So basically, on the first day of class, this project allowed each of the students in the room to have a review of the actual course content, and they had a deeper awareness of the elements and principles of art and design. This set the tone for the entire semester. The individual projects that followed, the students were more engaged with one another. They were more open to exchanging ideas with one another, and they had a greater understanding of the course content. This was my most creative and rewarding class teaching at ACC, thanks to Project ACC.
Hi, my name's Allie Salzman, and I teach British literature for ACC. I used to have trouble getting students to relate to the text in early British literature, but this past semester I emphasized teamwork and community in my classroom through the use of home groups. I implemented project-based learning, and they all completed 3 main projects together and worked together in some way for most of the classes, and were able to engage the material and each other better than I've ever seen in any of my classes. And here, you want to put this one in? So I did a evaluation graffiti poster when the course started, and I got responses such as, oh, my question was, what do you think of when you think of British literature? And they answered, poetry sucks. My dog's name is Shakespeare, and Shakespeare spelled incorrectly 3 times. Can't I just watch the movie? How does this relate to my future? Why? Cliff Notes rule. White dudes. Roses, old white dudes, roses are red, violets are blue. This class is required. So then, I did a graffiti response at the end of the semester, and I got very different responses. I want to be BFFs with Mary, Queen of Scots. Samuel Taylor Coleridge is the man. I related this to my own life. I love Brit Lit, etc. So I really related, and even a Shakespeare quote that the student could remember. We know what we are, but know not what we may be. Shakespeare spelled correctly. So, the proof is in the evidence that the students got much more out of the course than they had gotten out previously, than what they had when they expected coming in. And on behalf of my team, I'd like to announce that we're donating the $1 million to ACC. In order to further develop active learning at the college, and for chocolate and breakfast tacos.
All right, is this where we're supposed to meet?
Yeah, I think so. Is it?
Time. Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Hey, Patrick, how's it going?
Oh, Jesus, I just tripped on someone's backpack.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, Is this going to be enough space for us to work?
I don't know. Just sit down. Just sit down.
All right, guys, good to see you again. Okay.
It's all right, Bob, it's all right.
So, pretty good.
After that whole project institute, man, I got this great idea, but problem is, man, I'm gonna do this milling thing. You know, my Northridge classroom, I can't even walk down the aisle to hand back papers. I'm falling over the backpacks, I'm tripping over the books.
I hear you.
If I get them to mill around, I'm liable for those injuries.
Yes!
Yeah, and I work in a high school, and my classroom has computers all around on the walls, and I have just 2 rows of tables, and there's lots of clutter because the teacher there is a real pig.
They're all the time looking at the computer.
And I want to try this immediate exam feedback, but I can't get around in the room, and there's no place to really group together.
I get it.
I've tried a few active learning and I just stopped, because I was tripping over stuff. I couldn't get to the group.
I saw you do
because you saw it. I know it happens all the time. There's these long tables. tables, you know, and you can't even like fit in between them. The poor kids can't even fit in between them, you know, and I'm always shouting over there. So I don't do any active learning. I try to talk as much as I can. If they ask a question, it's all downhill. You know, you're just trying to hear what they're saying.
I know, you can't even get to them.
You can't even get, I know.
And the really quiet ones just can't talk loud enough.
Yeah.
Do you have these same problems?
Sometimes, yeah. And vocally, you know, I can't get out to them. They don't seem to hear me, and I don't know, my in focus doesn't focus.
Right, and like I use a lot of group work, and I'm constantly being told by other teachers, you're too loud. Your class is having too much fun. Can you quiet down? And just trying to get the students into groups, especially at Highland where we were told, do not, under any circumstances, move these desks. So I can't get to my groups once I get them formed. And if we try to get in a circle, it takes half of the class time.
What was the meeting for? I forgot.
I remember. We got that $1 million donation from those teachers So we're going to redesign the new campus, and we're like, is there an architect who's coming to meet with us?
Yes.
I hope he does.
We need some help.
Howdy. All right, so I've been asked to come. I'm the architect. I'm assuming you just want desks, a chalkboard, and maybe one of those?
No. We need a lot more than that. We
like more desks?
No, we want it all. All. Active learning labs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our classrooms look like this right now, with unhappy students stuck in a row, piled up with stuff, and some of them really don't want to sit next to each other. It's like having that middle seat on an airplane. Nobody wants the middle seat.
So what can we do about it?
No, wait. You don't like this?
This is terrible.
It's not working for us at all.
Never has.
Wasn't it that way when you were in school?
It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at all. I went to a very small school that looked a lot more like this.
Okay, so you're saying it matters how the classroom is designed?
Yes.
The environment makes a difference.
Absolutely.
So you're saying this affects learning?
Yeah.
If Tobin wants to mill with his students.
The first day of class, I get everybody up after I've gotten the names and checked the rolls, and I find out how many of them are just starting out, how many of them are coming back, how many are teaching taking part-time or full-time or working, and they're all mixing around them all, and if I don't have room to do that, it's really hard to get that to work.
All right, let me take some notes. I had no idea. I thought more desks better.
Now you're thinking like a bottom line kind of person.
So you're telling me
more students in.
You're telling me space matters. You're telling me arrangement matters.
Arrangement of the desk. They need to be able to move would be nice. So maybe this is 4, but you could easily make 6 groups. The other desk too, something that would be really helpful is having like maybe a cabinet for backpacks in space or underneath the desk. There's way too much going on in the aisles, and it's just really hard to move around.
One simple thing, chairs that roll.
That roll. Yeah.
And you're serious, this affects learning?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wanted to say that it's really hard to move around, and I have a lot of downtime because I have to do a lot of maneuvering around the table. And I work with, again, primarily high school students, and their attention span is even less, so I need to be able to engage them more quickly.
Well, I just noticed there are other people in the room. So
big department.
So it is a big department. So other people, you'll notice that you have an exit ticket in front of you, and what we'd like you to put on your exit ticket, since I'm really just sort of bowled over by what you're telling me, tell me what you need. You know, I am this close to
What will
Charles.
make your students happy?
One thought is, we have these tables that look like this, if you have tables, or the individual little chairs that you can't sit in very well. What about if we had tables that look kind of like this, so you could put them together and make combinations easier, they wouldn't be so far apart, or you could string them out like this.
You could even put
right,
those in
now-
a circle.
I'm not an architect.
Yeah.
All right, now we've got that. Does anybody want to give me one more?
Do we see lighting?
Lighting.
Important.
Soundproofing.
Yeah.
Now, what do you mean about lighting? What, you don't like
Well,
lighting?
these are well lit, yeah, fluorescent lights is a problem.
You can't see the screen sometimes because the light's either all on or all off.
And what about the people who are facing to the side or with their back to work in groups? Why can't we have multiple ways to view one computer? Like ideally something that doesn't have to be projected through a light.
So rather
What
than,
else?
Multiple
So why
displays.
not whiteboards? Whiteboards all the way around, and in the corners has the screen.
I agree. I would like multiple whiteboards as well.
Well, then you could put this screen projector in the center, which actually points in the direction that you needed to go and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in that other room we were in, they had multiple screens, so you had multiple options of where to look. So if I'm facing this way and I need to look on this projector, I have to turn around. But if it's back in the corner, I can look back there comfortably.
Air conditioning control.
Yes, please. I've been dying all week. I'm sweating.
Jennifer, what were you going to say?
AC control. So I have to like carry all these like mini whiteboards with me and fancy markers and expos. If I want to do this types of stuff, I have to actually carry it around with me. So it would be nice if there was like an active learning closet in these, active learning classrooms that had mini whiteboards, expos, nice Sharpie markers, colored paper, paper clips, anything that you would need. Glitter, clickers.
Or one of those computer carts where you could, if you want to use computers, you can hand out the laptops and you can put them away when they're not being used.
Yes, in the high school they call them cows.
Yes,
Cows.
cows.
on wheels.
Yes.
I like that either.
That's a bunch of bull.
Settle down, settle down.
The ability to raise desks or tables up to standing.
Oh, that's genius.
Out of their chairs, less likely to see.
Now, I was the architect for HLC, so I know that some of those move around. Now, you like the tables at HLC or?
No.
They're too heavy to move.
We would like equity across all campuses, right? So if they have movable tables, we should have them in South Austin, and you should also have them
At least we'd like to have a few of these alls at every campus.
We want them all.
We want it all. We want it all.
Let's hear it.
We want it all. We want it all.
All right, settle down. I can go to Neil Vickers. I can go to Cook. I'm like this.
Two fingers right now.
So I'm like that. You're the educators. I should have come and asked you a long time ago. But you got to tell me how this improves the quality of what they receive. I can't just go to Cook and say they want cool whiteboards. Give me some thoughts as to
What if we had everybody take a few minutes and use those exit tickets to write down or even draw? If you're a more visual, artistic person, you could draw your ideal all. And we'll take them from you, give them to our architect who will take them to our administration.
Along with that $1 million. Don't forget the
Right, so we've got that $1 million to spend on it all.
Yeah.
Now tell me, remember, tell me why this helps the learning.
Yeah, all right.
Because
You know, one
students
thing
are
I think is
engaged and
important
active.
is just team teaching. I really want to
Yeah.
get my students to start teaching as
Okay.
well, rather than being in a lecture format. So what I like to look at is those 3 levels of team teaching. To start out, maybe pair share, where they can start to feel more comfortable, and then moving to gallery walk, where they can get up and move around the room and share concepts, and then ultimately teach themselves. It would certainly be wonderful if they had all those
All right, that's what I
abilities
need.
to do that.
That's what I need. I
Right.
need what you want and how it will help students. I will take that forward.
All right, and at level 3, they can certainly do group presentation. They can certainly do individual presentation, and sometimes even make video to make concepts much clearer.
So we have 3 minutes left. We're going to give you those 3 minutes to finish your exit tickets. We will take those from you. All right? 3 minutes, finish your exit tickets. We're going to end our presentation here.
All right. Anybody else? Need exit tickets?
Who else did not get a card?
Oh yeah, you can't leave until you give us your exit ticket.
All right.
Good.
All right.
You should. Our exit tickets will go to the woman in the cowboy hard hat.
This is your big chance. It goes right to the top. Oh yeah, margarita by the pool. Yeah, we gotta get the pool in there. I love it.
You know what?
I just
Yeah, it's just the same thing. I had to go my first mission teacher. Change that learning. I'm with you on that one, yeah.
Still working, still working. 1 minute left, 1 minute and counting.
I just wanted to take all the classrooms in Northridge so that I can hit that button and make the projection screen dark. Not all of them.
Let's wrap it up, yellow people. Yellow cards, wrap it up.
I either have to warm up the projection. Yes, and it doesn't have some of the classrooms.
Thank you for your input.
Thank you, thank you.
Happy faculty is a happy institution.
More coming, more coming.
Thank y'all.
And we're done.
All right.
Get your staff to summarize it.
Right, the staff. The office.
Hello, everyone. We've seen many great presentations today, and we've got another one for you. We are the team formerly known as Team 6, but we are here today as ideas worth sharing. We're going to give you 2 different role plays, and then we're going to ask you some questions and ask you to discuss later on what's happening. So if you will please pay close attention to the players. Notice what you see and hear.
My name is Suzanne Summers, and I teach History 1301, which is a gateway course with a high DFW rate. And I think it's one of the classes where many of us lecture. And so perhaps you have this experience in your classroom. So you guys, today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the Washington administration, and we're going to talk about Alexander Hamilton's proposals and plan to create a more diverse economy. So Hamilton's plan has 3 components, and I want to talk about each of those very briefly. So part 1 was Part 2 was and finally Hamilton proposed part 3. So, are there any questions? Are you guys awake?
What was the second one again?
As you can see, there are several challenges this classroom faces for both the students and the professor. You may recognize some of these challenges, but let's take a look in at the next day.
All right, so you guys, what we were talking Tuesday, we were talking about some of the challenges faced by the Washington administration in our early history. So we're going to change things up a little bit today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 15 or 20 minutes talking about some of the material that you guys hopefully have read about in class. And then what I'm going to do is give you a couple of minutes to break up into groups of 3 and share with each other what you've learned, and then we'll come talk about it. So, you remember, we were, out of chapter 3, we were talking about the Jay Treaty. Fast forward. So, what I want you guys to do is I want you to spend about 2 minutes. I don't think I'm that intimidating.
She's just trying to keep her eyes open.
I want you guys to take a couple of minutes and get out the sheet of paper, and what I want you to do is in your group is I want you to write everything you remember about the Jay Treaty. And if you have any gaps in your notes, then I want you to share notes with each other and you can fill in the gaps. And you'll come share with us in the class. Okay?
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm so late. Well, it's great to see you, Jackie. I'm glad you made it today. Me too. Yeah. So, Damaris, yeah. Yeah, you're too. You know, it's so I guess we're supposed to be taking notes throughout the session, and right now we're supposed to be comparing our notes. So, oh really? Oh, I looked online and there were some things that was a bunch of blanks. Words but blanks. Well, I noticed like you had your phone today. Did you bring the notebook to class with you? Oh, no, I got it. I did have my pen, right? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'd be happy to work comparing notes. So I'd be happy to share the notes I took, but I was just like, maybe you should bring the notebook so that you can take some notes too. So that would be helpful in class. Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah, that would be great. Jackie, do you have notes that you want to compare?
Well, no, I just got kicked out of my house and my car wouldn't start. I mean, all I got was this paper on my back seat. I mean, I'm ready to take notes. I did look at the PowerPoint, so I do know a little bit about what's going on, but I didn't have a chance to take it.
So, what do you remember from the Jay Treaty? Remember we're talking about Hamilton and economic stimulus.
Oh yeah, and blah 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 blah. I did read that. Yeah,
oh, okay,
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So she mentioned 3 main points. So
do you remember those? Will you write it down while we try and remember? Yeah. So the first point was blah blah blah. And what was the other
second point was wah wah wah. And then the third?
Oh yeah, reading.
question and then send it to us, or you want to email it? Well, not to your friends, to us, yeah. Oh, well. That's outside of class, just to us. I don't think they care about wow. Thank you. What we would like you all.
Writing that wow.
What we would like you all to do now is to just turn to someone next to you and we'll do a quick think, pair, share. And if you can, talk about what challenges you saw in the first role play. What techniques did you see being used by the professor or the students or both? And how did they help the challenges? Overcome them. Take a few minutes and then we will ask
So the technique she used for guided notes and note sharing, I think this is, I saw this in Ireland. I think those were supposed to be guided
Guided notes or filling the blanks?
Some of the blanks, it's kind of like guided notes.
Right. Have you used that?
I've used guided notes. I haven't used note sharing.
The guided notes did work.
It does.
I do find
Can we have your attention back? Focus. Thank you. You're wonderful. Just really quickly, if one person from each table could give us one or two challenges that you noticed. And we can start with team 3.
Asymmetrical participation.
Very nicely said, yes. We had our wonderful student Patty and our less than wonderful student over here. Okay, thank you. And what about this team back here?
Cell phone.
Cell phone in the classroom, very distracting. But at the end, maybe a tool for some collaboration outside of class. Thank you. And y'all? Challenge that you saw?
We were badly behaved. We were channeling Damaris.
Okay, well then, what did you see there?
Environment and how it was like cold or hot, and it can be very distracting. And so we wanted to figure out. Well, that's really what
you were still with the all team. We needed the all classroom. All right, that's All right, thank you for that. How about y'all back here?
Lack of interest.
Lack of interest, yes. Despite Patty's best efforts, there was like pulling teeth. And this team here, challenge?
Well, they definitely had some outside challenges, as Jackie was mentioning. These are
Absolutely.
distractions that are, affecting their ability to come into the classroom and learn.
And be on time, missing
Right.
material, absolutely, outside influences. How about you all? A challenge?
Challenges.
Challenges.
I thought maybe, her head was just a little heavy for the rest of her body.
I think it was. I heard that challenge myself once or twice.
That's not good way you are.
I'm sorry?
A lack of buy-in, so like the film like goes to the student who I saw blanks and wasn't sure what to do with it, so.
Lack of buy-in, excellent. And last but definitely not least, what did y'all see challenges up here?
Well,
In this group, like, there was one person taking notes, but what if the whole group wasn't taking notes?
And also the teacher on the first performance was staying up at the board and sort of not engaging on the second one. She came engaged.
Absolutely.
I couldn't see that because I couldn't physically.
Much more immediate, right? That's that immediacy. Okay, excellent contributions, everybody. And we have 2 minutes left. What techniques did you see used and or what could have been used to mitigate these challenges or wipe them away?
And was it Karen who mentioned the guided notes?
Mm-hmm.
We weren't sure if that was intentional. We heard Damaris mention it.
But maybe with some more explicit instruction and demonstration, so that she's not, I don't know what this is, there's blanks everywhere. Yes, ma'am. I'll see you, Jeff, just above it.
They got into note-taking teams, but they didn't know in advance that they were going to be in note-taking teams, so if she'd give them a heads up, like in 10 minutes you're going to have to compare notes, then maybe they would not wind up surprised that they had nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
We did start to see peer accountability, though.
Yes, a bit there at the end, yes.
Yeah, because they're much more embarrassed oftentimes about letting their classmates down than they are in letting their professor down.
Absolutely. Jeff, and then I'll come to you.
Patty was the note taker, but also kind of the group leader, and I wonder, well, maybe she's good at taking notes, but didn't want to be a group leader. So maybe the dynamic could be, well, we have a good note taker, but maybe someone who didn't take notes well could step up and organize the group a little bit
So
more.
she didn't have a dual role.
A dual role,
right? And more resentment building up. I'm doing everything.
Right.
Excellent. And the last one we have just time for.
I called it public shaming, but Meredith corrected me that it's not called public shaming. It's called
Peer accountability.
Peer accountability.
And Patty was very positive in her accountability, right? Oh, did you bring your notebook? Or I see you have your phone. Do you?
Maybe we could use that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and teaching our students those types of ways can help avoid, I teach high school students and teach English, and can avoid some of those, hurt feelings or lashing out if we demonstrate for them.
Whiteboards that are erased properly.
And we are now going to hear from our last team, which is Team 7. So welcome Team 7.
We can take
We're number 7. We're number 7. We're number 7. We're number 7.
Five alive! Five alive!
All right, who's going next?
As you just heard, we're Team 7. We had a great time this week, learning some fabulous things and getting to know each other. And real quickly, we're just going to say what we plan to do with all of this great information that we've learned this week. I am planning to introduce 2-stage exams and if-at cards in my Intro to Veterinary Technology class. It's one of my hardest classes. It has a lot of information, and I'm going to, all those questions that I threw out last year from the fall before are going to come back and be part of a group exam, those challenging pieces. So that's me.
Okay, and I teach chemistry, and I'm actually hoping to use a couple of techniques in the fall for my lecture class, which is kind of why I was here. But it occurred to me that I have a lab this summer, and we always have this lab assignment where they have to go to the library. Well, we've been doing it for over 30 years. It's really not very active. It's very solitary, and the papers are kind of she's from the library. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to change it up, if we get permissions for it, to where it's more of a group effort. It's kind of like a journals club.
So the end result will be a panel presentation paper where they're in groups and they're going to do peer evaluations on their work within each group before they do the panels, and then each panel will be evaluated by their peers as well. And then also we'll have them have some time to develop different techniques for the research during the semester, so it's not all crammed into one session.
And I think the biggest challenge at the beginning is going to be getting them to narrow their question or the thing they want to learn something more about small enough so that they can, because you can end up being totally overwhelmed.
There's lots more. It's just hung up like
good, thank you. Thank you so much, Am Tolan. I came in looking for something to make the online class more dynamic, which is a consistent problem. Discussion boards don't really go well for me. I've tried different things and they haven't worked well, but one thing I haven't tried is VoiceThread. So I'm really excited about integrating that. I think shall I say, narcissism of some young folks might make the videotaping themselves fun, but I think also it's just more personable. You feel more accountable when you're looking people in the eye, even if it's over something like that. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also really thrilled to say that just this morning, because I'll be piloting this summer or doing a focus group with my online class now to try out VoiceThread, but I also decided just this morning, because I hadn't seen the Plickers in action, and so I've registered for the site over there, and I'm going to use it in my lecture class, which is an intro section, the online is American minorities, so lots of good discussion stuff, right? But in the Plickers class, I'll be using that new piece to just, again, check in with note-taking and what everyone's learning, what they're picking up on, central themes and ideas. So I'm pleased, even up to today. I'm still, because I wasn't at that particular presentation, still taking those things in. And looking forward to testing both of these really quickly this summer.
It's great to be in Las Vegas. Again, I want to say, do tip your waitresses. They work hard. Y'all been a little stingy. I've already used a couple of active learning techniques. I teach in the summer. Lucky me. 3 hours of English, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I did the little card thing in the Bobby last night, and they got really excited until they had to actually analyze an essay. And then I did the pause connection. It was interesting because you know what I found out? They're not listening at all. At all. So once they knew I was doing that, they actually started listening. So it actually has worked so far. Yam, come on over, hon. Come on.
She's going. How about you and go?
They've already done it.
Yes, they did their part.
No, he needs to talk.
Having given a presentation recently, I think you guys know that when you hand me a mic,
He sings.
these little town. Thank you very much. So I teach photo history, and one of the things that's important to get out of that class is visual literacy and the ability to analyze images. And in the past, I have told them to analyze an image. That didn't work out too well. Then I modeled the behavior in class, and then I had the students, I showed a picture and we talked about it, and I asked questions. And then they found out that they didn't get a grade for it, so that a lot of them just sat in the classroom. So what I'm going to do is I learned about jigsaw and grouping, and I'm going to print up 4 different pictures. I'm going to cut them in strips of 3, and I'm going to say, take this, those who you got to distribute them, and then you got to put the picture together. That'll be the home group, and then you can say, well, take the left panel. That'll be the subgroups, or the middle panel, that'll be another subgroup, so on and so forth. So I have about 37 slide lectures during the photo history semester. So I'm throwing them all away and only doing active learning. That's a right thing to do? I'm going to just start all over, right? So some of the things, I like the 2 truths and a lie. I like the plickers. I like note sharing, because getting people to take notes is so important. So I've learned so much this week. I can't believe it. I want to thank you all.
No, let's sing it.
Oh.
So we took this active learning very seriously, so we decided to create something based on one of the concurrent sessions that we went to on Wednesday, presented by Catherine Harper and Patty Collier. Wave your hands, people. They had a great session on student drivers, not as scary as you might think. And so basically it was having the students do collaborative learning projects and learning activities together, and one of the things that they showed was doing some student videos. So we have a student video to show you.
All right.
If I can get it to play.
Video.
MP4? I'm voting for you, man.
It's loading slowly.
See, I use Mac, so,
You want to sing a song for us?
Yeah, sure. Tap dance.
Oh, Lauren.
That was not singing, but thank you.
Joining the Navy to see the world, and what do we see? We saw the sea, we saw the ocean and the Pacific, but the Pacific wasn't terrific, and the Atlantic isn't what it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
I got a joke.
Joke.
What is the pirate's favorite letter? R. Everybody thinks it's the R, but it's the C.
Crap like that. That's a dad joke.
Dad joke.
Okay, hold on. It would be the letter C.
Ready?
Yes.
There we go. Audio.
It's the play.
Yeah, that's the joke. More help. More help.
Press thing and see if it takes.
Film straight.
Oh, good.
Learn some things. E-I-E-I-O.
E is for enjoyable. We learn new ways to integrate active teaching within the traditional lecture format, like
All right.
Pause procedure.
To give instant feedback and increase student information retention and participation.
Meredith and Julia had a team, E-I-E-I-O. And on that team we learned some things, E-I-E-I-O.
I is for inspiration. I'll be using VoiceGrid in my online class to inspire students to exchange ideas and discuss class topics.
Meredith and on that team we learned some things, E-I-E-I-O.
E is for engaging. We learned some great techniques that not only keep our students engaged, but keep us as teachers engaged. Graffiti walks, jigsaw, and moving class outside are just a few. I can't wait for fall.
Meredith and Julia had a team, E-I-E-I-O. On that team we learned some things, E-I-E-I-O.
I is for intentional. Active learning requires intentional communication to students. For example, group work is best when developed intentionally. It's really not meant to be a secret.
Meredith and Julia had a team, E-I-E-I-O. On that team we learned some things, E-I-E-I-O.
O is for opportunity. There's so many opportunities for students to learn. For instance, peer editing and flipped classroom are great techniques.
Meredith and Julia had a team, E-I-E-I-O. On that team we learned some things, E-I-E-I-O.
Is for organize. We learn skills that will help us organize our classes into groups for active learning, retention, and community building. Now, where are my keys?
That's it.
What was the magic she did to get it to play? That's what we need.
BLC.
So you guys, that was so awesome. I thank you all so much. I taught the fellows a word earlier this week. My family's first language, not me, but my mom's, was Yiddish. And there's a word in Yiddish that is not an English word, and it's nachas. Nachas is the special feeling you get when your children do incredibly well. So I told the fellows, you are not my children. I cannot have nachas for you. But since we're in Texas, I can have nachos for you. And I have so many nachos for all of you, and I am sure the fellows have them too. This was incredible, amazing. I loved every minute of you guys talking us through all that you had learned. I thank you so much. It was the best part of my week. We are finished a sketch early with this part, so we have a longer break. Congratulate each other, hang out. We're gonna have lunch starting at 11:45, so it's probably not even here yet, but it'll get here soon. And I don't know, you people, I got 1 or 2 comments on the evaluations about cookies. So, what? So wait, that's all Marilyn. I think she's been spreading it through everybody. So we will have lunch, we will have cookies, and what's this? Oh, I'm supposed to tell you something. Yes, I know that you guys have felt like you were on candid camera all week. I know a lot of people have been following you around with cameras and all that stuff, and I'm so sorry. We should have warned you ahead of time. But the reason is that oh, perfect. Thank you. Yes. Thanks, Neela. We really just wanted to document what was going on, and I should have warned you guys ahead of time. It's not for anybody but for us. We really want to be able to use your images and show what engaged teachers look like for future semesters.
Nobel Prizes.
What?
For future Nobel Prizes.
Exactly. But I totally respect that some of you may not want to have your images broadcast in places, so shoot me an email at FCTL. I know who you are. And if you don't want your pictures used, I can make sure that we
don't use those, okay? So, and I should have asked ahead of time, but I was just, there were one or two things that were going on, so.
Put them in a flicker out.
Yeah. So we can put the.
That's fine.
All right, so if you have questions or concerns, please come and talk to me or shoot me an email at FCTL, and Julie's got something, and then we'll go right.
So lunch at 11:45, but also at 11:45, the last plenary, which is Renison, Meredith, and myself, so you don't want to miss it.
Oh, miss it.
We will have everybody sign in for the plenary, so there'll be a sign-in sheet out there. All right. Have a good night.